Ladies and gentlemen, change is one of the few things in life that is completely unavoidable. It's woven into the fabric of our existence, constantly shaping and reshaping our lives in ways both big and small. Whether it's the seasons changing, new technologies emerging, relationships evolving, or the world around us shifting, change is always in motion. The truth is, we don't have the power to stop change. We can't stop time from passing, we can't freeze the growth of technology. And we certainly can't control the inevitable life events that happen to us like aging, loss, or unexpected challenges. These forces are out of our control. But here's the key: while we can't control change itself, we can control how we respond to it. This is where our power lies. Our reactions, attitudes, and choices in the face of change are entirely within our grasp. When faced with change, we have a choice: we can resist it, fight against it, and feel overwhelmed by it, or we can embrace it as an opportunity for growth and transformation. The latter approach doesn't mean that change will be easy. It rarely is. But it does mean that by choosing to see change as something that we can work with, rather than something that happens to us, we unlock the potential to grow stronger, wiser, and more adaptable. Think about it this way: every time we try to avoid change or pretend it's not happening, we only increase our stress and discomfort. We might try to hold on to the past or cling to the familiar, but in doing so, we actually limit our potential. On the other hand, when we choose to meet change with an open mind and a flexible heart, we allow ourselves to be shaped by it, learning, evolving, and often finding new paths that we may not have seen before. Some changes may challenge us in profound ways, but in every shift lies an opportunity to reinvent ourselves, redefine our goals, and ultimately discover what we're truly capable of. The key is not whether change will happen; it will, but how we choose to engage with it. Will we face it with resistance, or will we embrace it with curiosity and a willingness to grow? Remember, change is inevitable, but how we respond to it is entirely up to us. And by choosing to respond with a mindset of possibility, we can turn every change, every challenge, and every unexpected twist into a stepping stone toward a brighter, more empowered future. One of the most powerful tools we have when facing change is the way we choose to think about it. The truth is, how we perceive change often determines how we experience it. So many of us approach change with fear, uncertainty, and resistance. We worry about what we might lose, what might go wrong, or how we'll be affected. But this mindset can trap us in a cycle of anxiety and frustration, making change feel like something we need to avoid at all costs. However, what if we could shift that perspective? What if we could reframe change not as something to fear, but as an opportunity for growth, learning, and even transformation? When we view change through a lens of fear, we see it as a threat, something that takes us out of our comfort zone, something that puts us at risk of failure or disappointment. But when we shift our mindset, we begin to see the potential gains instead of focusing on what we might lose. We can start to view change as a catalyst for personal development, a doorway to new opportunities, and a chance to develop new strengths and skills. Take, for example, a time when you faced a significant change in your life, whether it was a new job, a move to a new city, or a major shift in your personal life. At first, it probably felt daunting. The unknowns, the challenges, the adjustments, all of it could have felt overwhelming. But now, with hindsight, can you see how that change led to something positive? Maybe it introduced you to new people, helped you discover new passions, or pushed you to develop qualities you didn't even know you had, like resilience, adaptability, or creativity. When we reframe change this way, we shift our focus from what's being taken away from us to what's being offered in return. Change might take us out of a familiar situation, but it also opens up new doors we may not have had the courage to walk through otherwise. It might force us to learn new skills, adopt new perspectives, or develop new strategies, and all of these are the building blocks of growth. Imagine the difference between two people facing the same challenge. One person thinks, "This change is going to be terrible. I'll lose everything I've worked for." The other person thinks, "This is a big change, and yes, it's a little scary, but I'm excited to see what I can learn and how I can grow." The second person will be more likely to approach the challenge with curiosity and resilience, seeing it as an opportunity rather than an obstacle. In any situation of change, there's an inherent choice in how we respond. We can choose to focus on the negative aspects, the loss, the discomfort, the unknowns, or we can choose to focus on the possibilities, the new opportunities, the growth, and the potential for personal evolution. By making this shift, we can start to see every change as a step forward rather than something that takes us backward. Reframing change also helps us let go of the illusion that life should be static, predictable, or perfect. Life is dynamic, and it's precisely this fluidity that gives it meaning and excitement. The more we embrace the idea that change is a natural and even positive part of life, the more we open ourselves up to new experiences, deeper learning, and greater satisfaction. So next time change comes knocking at your door, ask yourself, how can this change make me better? What new opportunities might it bring? By focusing on the potential gains rather than the losses, you'll not only survive change, you'll thrive in it. Remember, a shift in mindset is the first step toward transforming the challenges of life into the opportunities of tomorrow. Uncertainty is often seen as something uncomfortable, something to avoid at all costs. It feels unpredictable, unsettling, and at times downright scary. We like certainty, we like to know what comes next, and we thrive on having a clear path in front of us. But in reality, uncertainty is an inevitable companion to change, and it's also one of the most powerful forces for growth and innovation. The truth is, uncertainty doesn't have to be something we fear. It can be a space of opportunity. It's in the unknown, in the what-ifs and the maybes, that we discover new possibilities, test our limits, and explore avenues we may never have considered otherwise. Think about it. If everything were certain, if every outcome was predictable, life would become stagnant. There would be no room for creativity, no room for reinvention, and no room for breakthrough moments. Uncertainty is the very thing that opens the door to these new possibilities. When faced with uncertainty, we often respond by trying to control or avoid it. We look for ways to minimize risk, cling to the familiar, and create a sense of predictability. But by doing so, we limit ourselves. Uncertainty is the playground where innovation is born. It's where we make the decisions that shape our future, even when we don't have all the answers. Take the example of some of the most successful entrepreneurs or innovators in history. Think about Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, or Oprah Winfrey. Each of them built their success not by following a set path, but by embracing the uncertainty that came with their journeys. They faced risks, setbacks, and plenty of unknowns, but rather than avoiding these challenges, they leaned into them. They embraced the uncertainty, trusting that it would lead them to new insights, new ideas, and eventually new successes. In our own lives, when we choose to embrace uncertainty, we open ourselves up to new experiences. Instead of fearing the unknown, we can see it as an invitation to explore, to try something new, to experiment, to test our assumptions, and to step outside our comfort zones. It's the uncertain moments in life that force us to develop the adaptability, creativity, and resilience that we need to grow. And with that, we start to see uncertainty not as a threat, but as a blank canvas, ready for us to paint our next masterpiece. Another important aspect of embracing uncertainty is understanding that we don't need to have all the answers right now. Life is a series of questions, and often the path forward is revealed step by step, not all at once. We can find peace in the fact that we don't have to have everything figured out immediately. Sometimes uncertainty gives us the space to pause, reflect, and listen to ourselves, to others, and to the world around us. It's in this space of openness that we often uncover our greatest opportunities. Consider a time when you were faced with a major life decision, whether it was choosing a career path, moving to a new place, or making a big personal change. At first, the uncertainty was overwhelming. The unknown seemed insurmountable. But over time, as you stepped into that uncertainty, things started to fall into place. You met new people, learned new things, and discovered a strength you didn't even know you had. The uncertainty turned out to be a fertile ground for growth, not something to avoid. So instead of resisting uncertainty, try embracing it. See it as an invitation to grow, to explore, and to step into a world of new possibilities. In fact, uncertainty can be a powerful ally in helping us evolve. By letting go of the need for rigid control and embracing the unknown, we allow ourselves the freedom to move, change, and adapt in ways we never thought possible. Remember, the greatest rewards often lie beyond our comfort zones. The key to thriving in uncertainty is to become comfortable with the discomfort, to lean into the unknown with curiosity and excitement, rather than fear. The next time uncertainty knocks at your door, open it with open arms. Welcome the adventure, knowing that it holds the potential for flexibility is one of the most essential qualities we can cultivate in the face of change. When we think of flexibility, we often picture the ability to bend or stretch, like a tree swaying in the wind. In life, flexibility is just as important. It's our ability to adapt when things don't go as planned, to pivot when circumstances change, and to remain open to new solutions even when the path ahead seems unclear. The truth is, life rarely goes exactly as we expect. Plans can shift, challenges can arise, and new opportunities can appear out of nowhere sometimes, just when we think we have everything figured out. Flexibility is what enables us to navigate these changes with grace, resilience, and creativity. Without it, we can become rigid, stuck in our ways, or resistant to change, which only increases stress and frustration. But when we stay flexible, we allow ourselves to be fluid, responding to the current situation, rather than trying to force the situation to fit our initial expectations. Think about how a river flows. A river doesn't try to fight its natural course. Instead, it adjusts, flowing around rocks, bending with the landscape, and adapting to the environment as it changes. Similarly, when we remain flexible, we are able to move with the currents of life, embracing new directions as they come. The ability to be flexible doesn't mean we lack direction or commitment. It means we are open to change and willing to alter our course when the situation calls for it. For example, let's say you set a clear goal, whether it's in your career, a personal project, or even a fitness plan, but along the way you face unexpected challenges. Instead of abandoning your goal altogether, flexibility allows you to reassess, make adjustments, and find alternative routes to achieve it. This adaptability is often what leads to the most creative solutions. Consider the world of business. Many of today's most successful companies didn't get there by following a rigid, inflexible plan. They adapted to the changing needs of their customers, responded to market trends, and adjusted to new technologies. Take a company like Netflix, which started as a DVD rental service and through flexibility and an openness to change, transformed into a streaming giant. If Netflix had rigidly stuck to its original business model, it would have been left behind in a world of rapidly advancing technology. But their flexibility allowed them to pivot, evolve, and ultimately redefine the way we consume entertainment. In our personal lives, flexibility is equally important. Consider how flexibility can help us manage work-life balance, especially in times of uncertainty. Work may suddenly become more demanding, or personal responsibilities may shift unexpectedly. If we're rigid in our expectations, believing things must always stay the same, we might become overwhelmed. But by staying flexible and adjusting our routines, we can better manage those demands. Sometimes this means adjusting timelines, redefining priorities, or simply taking a step back to reassess. Flexibility also helps us remain open to new paths. Often, life's greatest opportunities don't come from following a set, linear path, but from being open to unexpected turns. For example, a change in your career might open doors to new industries or roles you hadn't considered before. An unplanned move might lead to an unexpected connection or community that transforms your life. The key is to see change as an invitation to explore rather than a detour from the right path. Sometimes we become so attached to a specific outcome that we don't even recognize the alternative paths available to us. But flexibility means we remain open to those alternatives, being willing to reframe our goals and adjust our expectations without abandoning our overall vision. It's about realizing that there is no single fixed way to achieve success. Instead, success often comes in many forms, and it may take multiple paths to get there. For example, let's say you've always had a clear idea of what your career should look like. Perhaps you've envisioned yourself in a particular job or role. But what if an unexpected opportunity arises that doesn't fit your original plan but aligns with your broader goals and values? If you're inflexible, you might turn it down out of fear of veering off your path. But if you're open and flexible, you may realize that this new opportunity brings fresh challenges, new learning experiences, and even greater fulfillment than you had imagined. Flexibility also requires letting go of perfection. We live in a world where many of us have been taught that things must be done a certain way, or that failure is a sign of inadequacy. But the truth is, perfectionism often limits our ability to adapt and grow. When we let go of the need for everything to be perfect and embrace a more flexible mindset, we give ourselves the freedom to make mistakes, learn from them, and continue moving forward. In the end, cultivating flexibility is not just about learning to bend with the winds of change. It's about creating a mindset that welcomes the unknown, that thrives on new experiences, and that's willing to adjust course when necessary. Flexibility allows us to stay grounded in our purpose even as we shift our strategies or approaches to navigate life's twists and turns. It's what enables us to not just survive change, but to embrace it and turn it into something positive. So, as you move through life and face inevitable change, remember that flexibility is key. When you encounter obstacles or setbacks, don't see them as roadblocks, but as opportunities to bend, adjust, and try a different route. Keep your mind and your heart open, and you'll find that the world of new possibilities is far larger than you may have ever imagined. Extraordinary. Resilience is often described as the ability to bounce back from setbacks. But in truth, resilience is much more than just the capacity to recover from adversity. It's the ability to grow stronger, wiser, and more capable because of it. Resilience is what allows us to face life's challenges with a mindset that sees failure not as an end, but as a stepping stone on the path to growth and eventual success. It's the foundation that supports us through difficult times, enabling us to emerge on the other side more determined and better equipped to handle future challenges. Life is full of setbacks. No one is immune. We all face obstacles, disappointments, and failures at some point. In fact, it's impossible to go through life without encountering some form of adversity. Whether it's in our careers, our relationships, or our personal goals, setbacks are part of the journey. What truly separates those who succeed from those who don't is how we respond to these setbacks. Resilience isn't about avoiding difficulty, it's about how we move through it and learn from it. Think of resilience like a muscle. Just as our physical muscles grow stronger after we push them to their limits in the gym, our emotional and mental muscles strengthen when we face difficult situations and work through them. The more we practice resilience, the better we become at handling stress, overcoming obstacles, and adapting to new circumstances. But like any muscle, it takes time, effort, and consistency to build. The more challenges we face and overcome, the more resilient we become. One powerful way to build resilience is by reframing setbacks. Too often we view setbacks as failures, something to be ashamed of or avoided at all costs. But what if we could shift that perspective and view setbacks as setups for growth? Every challenge, every mistake, every disappointment contains valuable lessons and insights that can propel us forward. Instead of saying, "I failed," try saying, "This didn't work out, but I learned something important." By reframing setbacks as opportunities for learning, we empower ourselves to continue moving forward with renewed energy and purpose. Take, for example, the story of J.K. Rowling, author of the Harry Potter series. Before becoming one of the world's best-selling authors, she was rejected by numerous publishers. At one point, she was a single mother living on welfare, facing financial struggles and personal challenges. Yet, rather than giving up on her dream, Rowling viewed each rejection as an opportunity to improve her writing. She didn't see her setbacks as indicators that she wasn't good enough. Instead, she saw them as valuable feedback that pushed her to refine her work. Today, her perseverance and resilience have turned Harry Potter into a global phenomenon, illustrating how setbacks, when faced with the right mindset, can lead to incredible success. Another way to build resilience is by developing a growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that abilities and intelligence can be developed over time through effort, learning, and persistence. People with a growth mindset see challenges as opportunities to grow, not as threats to their self-worth. When they encounter failure, they don't give up, they see it as part of the learning process. This mindset is crucial for resilience because it encourages us to embrace difficulties rather than shy away from them. It reminds us that mistakes aren't permanent, they're just temporary setbacks that help us improve. It's also important to understand that building resilience doesn't mean we need to be tough all the time or never experience difficult emotions. Resilience doesn't mean that we don't feel frustration, sadness, or anger when things go wrong. In fact, part of being resilient is allowing ourselves to experience those emotions fully, but then choosing to move forward. Being resilient doesn't mean denying our feelings, it means recognizing them, processing them, and then deciding not to let them keep us down. We build resilience by learning how to face adversity without letting it define us or derail our goals. Another key aspect of resilience is having a strong sense of purpose. When we are clear about our values and goals, we are better equipped to withstand the storms that come our way. Purpose gives us direction, and it provides us with the motivation to keep going, even when the road gets tough. When we have a reason to persevere, whether it's our family, our passions, our career goals, or the impact we want to have in the world, resilience becomes easier. It's this sense of purpose that fuels us during difficult times and helps us stay focused on the bigger picture, rather than getting bogged down by temporary setbacks. The ability to stay connected to a support network is also critical in building resilience. No one is an island, and resilience doesn't mean doing everything alone. In fact, some of the strongest and most resilient people are those who know how to reach out for help when they need it. Surrounding yourself with a supportive community of friends, family, or mentors can make all the difference. They offer perspective, encouragement, and a reminder that you don't have to face challenges in isolation. Lastly, resilience is about maintaining hope, even in the face of uncertainty. It's about believing that things can improve, that challenges can be overcome, and that we have the inner strength to handle whatever comes our way. Resilience isn't about pretending that everything is fine when it's not. It's about holding on to the belief that no matter how tough things get, we can find a way through. By cultivating this sense of hope, we empower ourselves to face the future with confidence, knowing that no setback is too great to overcome. So when life presents you with setbacks, whether it's a missed opportunity, a failed project, a personal challenge, or a career obstacle, remember that these challenges are not roadblocks. They are setups for your growth, learning, and future success. Resilience is not just about bouncing back, it's about bouncing forward, stronger and more prepared for the next step on your journey. Treat every difficulty as an opportunity to build your resilience, and you'll find that you not only survive tough times, but you emerge from them with greater strength, wisdom, and determination. In times of uncertainty, it's all too easy to become overwhelmed. When things around us are changing rapidly, or when the future feels unclear, we often feel as though we're at the mercy of forces outside of our control. Our emotions can spiral, we may feel helpless, and the weight of the unknown can seem insurmountable. But here's the truth: in any situation, no matter how chaotic or unpredictable, there are always elements we can control, and focusing on those aspects is one of the most powerful ways to regain a sense of agency and move forward with clarity. The first step is to recognize that you can't control everything. No matter how hard you try, some things like the economy, other people's actions, or sudden changes in circumstances are beyond your influence. The sooner you accept that fact, the less energy you waste worrying about things you can't change. The reality is that life will always throw curveballs, but our ability to thrive depends not on controlling every external factor, but on managing our internal responses and making empowered choices in the face of uncertainty. So what can you control? There are three fundamental areas where you hold the reins: your attitude, your actions, and your efforts. These are the aspects of the situation that remain firmly within your grasp, no matter what external forces are at play. Let's dive into each of these. Your mindset plays a huge role in how you navigate uncertainty. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control how you react to it. You can choose how you perceive the situation. In challenging times, it's easy to slip into a mindset of negativity or defeat, but cultivating a positive attitude can make a world of difference. A positive attitude doesn't mean ignoring reality, it means choosing to focus on solutions rather than problems, on growth rather than stagnation. For example, when faced with a difficult project at work, instead of thinking, "This is impossible, I'll never get this done," try shifting your mindset to, "This is tough, but I've overcome challenges before, and I can do it again." Your attitude can be the difference between feeling stuck and feeling empowered to take action. Furthermore, your attitude toward uncertainty can also impact your resilience. If you approach uncertainty with curiosity rather than fear, it opens up the possibility for growth and exploration. You can focus on the lessons to be learned, the new opportunities that may arise, and the personal development that comes from navigating through tough times. A positive attitude turns adversity into an opportunity rather than seeing it as a threat. While we can't control everything that happens around us, we always have control over how we respond. One of the most empowering things you can do when faced with uncertainty is to take decisive action. Often, when we feel overwhelmed, we freeze or procrastinate, hoping the situation will resolve itself. But action, no matter how small, helps you regain a sense of control and momentum. When you take action, you are actively shaping your path forward, even if that path is uncertain. For example, if you're facing a career setback, you might feel paralyzed by the uncertainty of the job market. Instead of allowing the fear of the unknown to dictate your response, take action. Update your resume, reach out to contacts in your network, or learn a new skill. Even if you don't know what the outcome will be, each step you take is within your control and brings you closer to a solution. Action creates momentum, and momentum creates progress. Another key part of focusing on what you can control through your actions is managing your time effectively. When things feel out of control, it's easy to feel like you're losing track of everything. But setting small, achievable goals, creating a structured plan, and breaking big tasks into manageable steps will help you regain a sense of order and purpose. Focus on one thing at a time, and take intentional steps toward the outcomes you desire, instead of letting your mind scatter in all directions. Effort is something that is entirely within your control. It's not about perfection or getting everything right the first time, it's about the commitment you make to keep going, even when things get difficult. In uncertain times, it's easy to feel like you're not making any progress, especially when outcomes aren't immediately visible. But the effort you put in and day out adds up over time. And it's in the consistency of your effort that you start to see results. Think about learning a new skill. At first, it can feel like progress is slow and the learning curve is steep. But the more you practice, the more effort you put in, the more competent you become. It's the same with any challenge. When you focus on giving your best effort, even in the face of uncertainty, you are continuously improving yourself and building resilience. Eventually, that effort will translate into success, even if the path is not immediately clear. Another way to think about effort is through the lens of self-care. In uncertain times, it's easy to become consumed by the chaos around you, neglecting your own well-being. But focusing on what you can control means prioritizing your mental, emotional, and physical health. This could mean setting boundaries, taking breaks, getting enough sleep, or seeking support when needed. The effort you put into caring for yourself gives you the strength to keep moving forward and tackle the challenges ahead. Ultimately, focusing on what you can control means shifting your energy away from the things that are outside your influence and channeling that energy into the things you can actively manage. It's about letting go of the need for certainty and instead cultivating a mindset of flexibility and proactive engagement. In times of uncertainty, the world around you may be changing rapidly, but your ability to choose your attitude, take meaningful action, and give your best effort remains firmly in your hands. These are the pillars upon which you can build a sense of control, even when everything else feels unpredictable. By focusing on what you can control, you stop feeling like a passive observer of your life and become an active participant in shaping your future. And in doing so, you create a foundation of confidence and calm, no matter what uncertainties lie ahead. In times of uncertainty, it's easy to fall into the trap of fear and doubt, allowing the unknown to paralyze us. The future seems unclear, and the constant swirl of change can feel overwhelming. But curiosity, the desire to explore, learn, and discover, can be one of the most powerful tools we have to navigate uncertainty. In fact, curiosity doesn't just help us survive in uncertain times, it can be the key to thriving and transforming challenges into opportunities for growth, creativity, and innovation. Curiosity is the spark that drives us to ask questions, seek new perspectives, and explore new possibilities. It's the mindset that tells us that there is something to learn in every situation, even when we don't know exactly what's going to happen next. In times of change, curiosity shifts our focus away from what we can't control to what we can explore. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by uncertainty, we can choose to see it as a playground for creativity, a space where new ideas are born and new solutions are discovered. When we remain curious, we open ourselves up to infinite possibilities. Curiosity allows us to reframe uncertainty as an adventure, not a threat. Instead of fearing the unknown, we lean into it, asking, what might this change bring? Or what new skills can I develop here? The unknown becomes less of a barrier and more of an opportunity to expand our horizons, push our boundaries, and find innovative ways to solve problems. One of the greatest benefits of curiosity is that it fuels innovation. Every breakthrough idea or technological advance started with someone asking, what if? In business, science, and technology, some of the most transformative innovations have come from curiosity-driven exploration. Think of companies like Apple or Google. Apple didn't just create the iPhone to make a better phone, they envisioned how mobile technology could revolutionize communication, work, and entertainment. Google didn't set out to create a search engine, they sought to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible. Curiosity led to new ways of thinking about old problems, and the result was revolutionary change. In our personal and professional lives, curiosity works the same way. When faced with uncertainty, we can either stick to the old ways of doing things or ask creative questions to explore new ways forward. Perhaps you're facing a career shift, or maybe you're navigating a personal challenge. Instead of focusing on what's not working or what's beyond your control, curiosity encourages you to ask, what can I learn from this? Or what skills could I develop in response to this change? By staying curious, you invite new possibilities and potential solutions that might not be obvious at first. For example, let's say your company is going through a major transition, maybe a restructuring or a new way of doing business. The uncertainty surrounding such a shift could be stressful. But if you approach this change with curiosity, you might ask yourself, what can I learn from this process? What new skills do I need to adapt to the new structure instead of resisting change? Curiosity helps you see how it can help you grow and improve in ways you might not have considered before. Curiosity shifts your focus from the problem to the possibility. One of the most important ways curiosity supports us in uncertain times is by encouraging continuous learning. Change brings new challenges, and the unknown often requires us to acquire new knowledge, adapt, and grow. In fact, the very uncertainty we fear can be a powerful driver of learning. When we feel out of our comfort zone, we are more likely to seek out new information, ask questions, and develop new competencies that allow us to move forward. If you stay curious, you embrace learning as an ongoing, never-ending process. Rather than viewing your current skills as fixed, curiosity encourages you to constantly evolve, adapt, and grow. In uncertain times, this mindset of lifelong learning is invaluable. Whether it's learning new technical skills, discovering new ways of thinking, or finding new ways to communicate and collaborate, curiosity ensures that you remain flexible, innovative, and ready to seize opportunities as they arise. By dividing large tasks or changes into bite-sized chunks, we create a sense of control. Each small step provides a clear action to take, which makes the process less intimidating. For instance, if you're shifting careers and need to update your resume, apply for jobs, and learn new skills, that's a lot to handle all at once. But instead of tackling everything in one go, break it down. One day you might focus on updating your resume. The next you might research job openings. And on another day, you might dedicate time to learning a new skill. Each small action builds momentum. And over time, those small steps add up to a larger transformation. One of the most immediate benefits of taking small steps is how it reduces anxiety. The anticipation of major change can often feel more daunting than the change itself. By focusing on manageable actions, we shift the focus from fear to accomplishment. Every small step you take is progress, and as you build that momentum, you begin to gain confidence and reassurance. The anxiety of facing a giant leap turns into a sense of achievement with each little milestone. Take, for example, someone who is trying to get fit after a period of inactivity. The idea of committing to a strict workout regimen can feel overwhelming, especially if it's been a while since they exercised. But if they start with something small, say a 10-minute walk each day, that's a much more achievable goal. As they become comfortable with that, they can gradually increase the duration or add in other activities. Before they know it, they've built a consistent routine and improved their fitness. The key is in the gradual adaptation and taking it one step at a time. When you break down a large change into small actions, you also create room for flexibility. Life often doesn't go according to plan, and sometimes things change unexpectedly. But when you take small steps, it's easier to adjust course along the way without feeling derailed. If you had a setback in your plans, whether it's an obstacle in your job search, a personal challenge, or a change in circumstances, you don't have to abandon your whole goal. You simply adapt, adjust, and continue with the next step. The smaller the step, the easier it is to stay nimble and make changes as needed. Another powerful aspect of taking small steps is the opportunity to celebrate small wins along the way. Each time you complete a small task or reach a small milestone, you create a positive reinforcement loop. You prove to yourself that you're capable, that progress is being made, and that you are indeed moving forward. Celebrating those small victories keeps motivation high, boosts your confidence, and reminds you that change, no matter how large, is achievable. For instance, if you're working on a long-term project, taking time to acknowledge when you've finished a task, whether it's drafting an outline, completing a research phase, or finishing an early draft, can help you stay focused and energized. You're not just aiming for the end goal, you're also recognizing the incremental achievements along the way. This sense of accomplishment keeps your momentum strong, even when the big picture might still feel distant. Taking small steps also helps cultivate patience and persistence, two critical qualities for navigating uncertainty. Change often takes time, and it's easy to feel impatient when we want results quickly. However, embracing the slow and steady approach allows us to develop the resilience needed to keep moving forward, even when progress feels slow. By focusing on incremental progress rather than immediate outcomes, we come to understand that growth and success are gradual processes. The process of adaptation itself, learning, adjusting, experimenting, is just as important as the result. If we expect immediate success or perfection, we can easily become discouraged. But when we embrace the idea that small steps lead to bigger changes, we begin to appreciate the value of persistence. Each small effort adds up, and each setback is simply part of the journey toward mastering something new. Think about learning a new language. At first, memorizing vocabulary words or conjugating verbs can seem like a tedious task, and it's easy to get discouraged. But when you focus on learning just a few words each day and celebrate each new phrase you can use, the process becomes more manageable and even enjoyable. Over time, you'll find yourself speaking more fluently, and before you know it, you've acquired a whole new skill set without the overwhelming pressure to master everything at once. Finally, when we break down big changes into smaller steps, we begin to demystify the unknown. Uncertainty often comes with a sense of dread, because we can't predict exactly what will happen or how we'll get there. But if we deconstruct the situation into smaller, more predictable parts, we gain a clearer sense of direction and control. For example, when starting a new job, the unknown might feel daunting. Learning new systems, adapting to a new team, understanding a different organizational culture. But if you break it down into manageable actions, like learning one system at a time, meeting one new colleague each day, or reviewing one process at a time, it feels less overwhelming. Each task, no matter how small, helps you feel more competent and prepared. The unknown starts to feel less like an obstacle and more like a set of challenges you can face, step by step. One of the most common and daunting experiences we face when navigating change or uncertainty is failure or setbacks. Whether it's a missed deadline, a failed project, or a personal setback, encountering obstacles can feel discouraging and disheartening. In these moments, it's easy to question our abilities, lose confidence, or wonder if we're on the wrong path. But here's the truth: failure and setbacks are not permanent. They do not define us. They are simply temporary experiences on our journey, and they hold invaluable lessons that can propel us forward if we choose to view them as opportunities for growth, rather than roadblocks to success. The key to thriving in uncertainty is not avoiding failure, but learning from it and using it to adapt and improve. Every setback is an opportunity to gain insights, to refine our approach, and to strengthen our resolve. When we embrace setbacks as learning experiences, we begin to see them not as personal shortcomings, but as stepping stones on the road to success. The first step in using setbacks as learning opportunities is to shift your perspective on failure. Instead of seeing failure as something to fear or something that signals the end of the road, begin to see it as a part of the process. Failure is not a final verdict on your abilities or potential. It is simply feedback, a natural part of trying, learning, and growing. Consider this: some of the most successful people in history have failed multiple times before achieving greatness. Thomas Edison famously failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb, but he didn't see each failure as a defeat. Instead, he saw them as learning moments. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 1,000 ways that won't work." What Edison understood, and what we can all learn from, is that each setback is an opportunity to learn and pivot. When we reframe failure as feedback, we take away its power to discourage us and instead use it to empower us to try again with more knowledge and insight. Every time we fail, we gather more information about what works and what doesn't, and that knowledge brings us one step closer to our ultimate success. Each setback has its own set of lessons, and often these lessons are more valuable than immediate success. In fact, the lessons we learn during difficult times are often the ones that shape us the most, giving us tools to handle future challenges more effectively. For example, if you're working on a business venture and face a setback, perhaps a product launch doesn't go as planned or customer feedback is less favorable than expected, this failure is an opportunity to evaluate what went wrong. Was it the marketing strategy? The product design? The pricing? By taking a step back and analyzing the root causes of the setback, you gain valuable insights into how to improve your next approach. If we allow ourselves to reflect on our failures, we can identify patterns, pinpoint weaknesses, and recognize areas for growth. Self-reflection is key here, taking the time to ask ourselves questions like, once we understand the lessons, we can adapt and move forward with a clearer, more informed perspective. This process helps us become more resilient and resourceful as we learn not just from our successes, but from the challenges we face along the way. Another important aspect of setbacks is the way they build resilience and grit. Each time we encounter a setback and choose to rise again, we strengthen our mental and emotional endurance. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity, to keep going despite setbacks, and to learn from the experience rather than allowing it to define us. Resilience is not about avoiding failure, but about how we respond to it. People who are resilient don't give up after a failure, they adapt, adjust, and keep moving forward. Grit, a combination of passion, perseverance, and determination, is a key factor in achieving long-term success. It's the ability to stick with something even when the path is difficult or the outcome uncertain. For instance, consider someone who is training for a marathon. They might face many setbacks along the way: injuries, missed training sessions, difficult weather conditions, but each time they overcome these obstacles, they build mental toughness. Overcoming setbacks makes them more determined, and each failure strengthens their belief that they can keep pushing forward. This grit and resilience become invaluable assets as they continue training and eventually cross the finish line. Another powerful benefit of setbacks is that they can often reveal new opportunities. Sometimes when things don't go according to plan, it forces us to look at the situation from a different angle, consider alternative approaches, and open ourselves up to ideas we hadn't considered before.